Ancient Greece did not fall to a single conquering army. It fell to itself, one broken oath at a time. The same cities that gave the world democracy, philosophy, and the idea of the citizen also gave the world the informer, the defector, and the friend who sold you out for a better offer. Every alliance in Greece was a temporary arrangement, and every hero was one bad year away from becoming a traitor. These are the 10 most brutal betrayals in ancient Greek history. Number 10. Critias had studied under Socrates and once passed as a man of ideas. In 404 BC, he became the leader of the 30 Tyrants, the puppet government Sparta installed in Athens after crushing it in the Peloponnesian War. Critias turned on the city that raised him, executing an estimated 1,500 Athenians and confiscating their property within 8 months. He justified the killings as necessary discipline, and he died the following year fighting the democratic exiles he had created. The student of philosophy became the reason Athens needed a new definition of tyranny. Number 9. When Sparta defeated Athens in 404 BC, the Spartan general Lysander did not simply win a war. He dismantled a democracy. He installed the 30 tyrants directly, backed them with a Spartan garrison, and watched as they gutted the city that had produced Pericles and the Parthenon. Lysander had spent the war fighting for Spartan supremacy, and the peace he delivered was crueler than the war itself. Athens would eventually restore its democracy, but the man who strangled it walked away with his reputation intact. Number 8. Demosthenes spent 30 years warning Athens about Macedon, and Athens spent 30 years not quite listening enough. After Alexander the Great died in 323 BC, Demosthenes helped push the Greek cities into one last revolt against Macedonian rule. It failed. Antipater, the regent left in charge of Greece, demanded Demosthenes be handed over for execution. Athens, the city he had defended his entire career, voted to condemn him to death rather than protect him. He drank poison in a temple on the island of Calaureia rather than let the soldiers of Antipater take him alive, and the city that abandoned him erected his statue decades later. Number 7. Socrates never betrayed Athens. Athens betrayed Socrates. In 399 BC, he was tried on charges of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods, charges that were really about the discomfort his questions caused powerful men. He was offered exile, an easy way out that would have satisfied everyone. He refused it on principle and accepted a death sentence instead, drinking hemlock surrounded by his students. The city that prided itself on open debate killed the man most responsible for teaching it how to argue, and it did so with a jury vote. Number 6. Themistocles won the Battle of Salamis and saved Greece from Persian conquest, and Athens repaid him by ostracizing him within a decade. Once he was gone, his enemies were not finished. Spartan officials implicated him in the treason of the Spartan general Pausanias, forcing him to flee across the Greek world with Athenian assassins on his trail. He ended up doing the unthinkable, taking sanctuary with the Persian king Artaxerxes, the son of the very man he had defeated at Salamis, and living out his life as a Persian governor. The savior of Greece died a servant of the empire he had stopped. Number 5. Ephialtes knew the mountains around Thermopylae better than any soldier in the Greek army defending them. In 480 BC, while 300 Spartans and their allies held the narrow pass against the entire Persian army, Ephialtes approached Xerxes and offered to reveal a hidden goat path that circled behind the Greek position. Persian soldiers used that path to attack from the rear, and the defenders were surrounded and destroyed. Ephialtes did it for money, and history remembers the 300 who died holding the front. It barely remembers what he was paid to make their deaths meaningless. Number 4. Pausanias led the Greek alliance to its greatest land victory at Plataea in 479 BC, driving the Persians out of Greece for good. Within a year, he was secretly writing letters to the Persian king, offering to help subjugate the same Greece he had just liberated, reportedly in exchange for a Persian bride and a throne of his own. Spartan officials intercepted the correspondence and confirmed the plan with a trap of their own design. Pausanias fled into a temple for sanctuary, and rather than violate the sanctuary by force, the Spartans simply sealed the entrance and let their own regent starve to death within sight of the altar. Number 3. Alcibiades was the most gifted general Athens ever produced. and he treated loyalty like a currency to be spent wherever it earned the best return. Facing execution on trumped-up charges in 415 BC, he defected to Sparta and helped design the strategy that nearly destroyed his own city. When Sparta turned on him too, he defected again, this time to the Persian Empire funding the Spartan war effort, advising them on how to bleed both Greek powers dry at once. Athens forgave him and brought him back as a hero twice, which tells you everything about how badly it needed him and how little it had learned. Number 2. Philip II of Macedon had just finished unifying Greece under his rule, positioning himself to invade Persia with a Greece that finally answered to one throne. In 336 BC, at the wedding celebration of his own daughter, one of his own bodyguards, a man named Pausanias, with a private grudge against the king, stabbed him to death in front of the entire assembled court. His son Alexander was crowned within days, and ancient historians never stopped whispering that Olympias, the mother of Alexander, humiliated and discarded by Philip in favor of a younger wife, had a hand in arranging the timing. No one was ever definitively proven guilty, and no one particularly needed to be. The empire moved on to Alexander so smoothly that the transition looked less like a tragedy and more like a plan. Number 1. The Peloponnesian War had already broken Greece before the final betrayal made it permanent. Athens and Sparta had spent nearly 3 decades destroying each other while claiming to fight for freedom, for honor, for the gods, for anything but what it actually was, which was 2 cities that could not tolerate each other existing at all. When Athens finally surrendered in 404 BC, it was not Persia or some foreign invader standing over the wreckage. It was Greeks who had betrayed other Greeks at every single turn. City allying against city, general selling out general, exile after exile trading secrets for survival, until the entire idea of a unified Hellas collapsed under the weight of its own suspicion. Sparta tore down the walls of Athens to the sound of flutes, celebrating a victory that Persia had quietly funded and would eventually profit from more than either Greek power ever did. The war that was supposed to prove which city deserved to lead Greece instead proved that neither one deserved to be trusted, and within a generation, both were too weakened by their own treachery to stop Macedon from conquering everything they had spent centuries building. Greece gave the world its first democracies, its greatest philosophers, and its most enduring stories, and it built every one of them on a foundation riddled with informants, defectors, and men who decided their city was worth less than their own ambition. The tragedy was never that Greece had enemies. The tragedy was that its enemies so rarely had to work very hard because Greece